Hi everybody, this is City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. Today I have a layout that I created using the March My Creative Scrapbook limited edition kits. I am putting some modeling paste on one of the papers. The paper is from the Vintage Artistry Wedgwood collection that was made by 49 and Market. And these papers are absolutely gorgeous. They're works of art in themselves. So I don't want to cover up the images that are in the background. I do want to add a little bit of texture to the background. So I'm using this stencil. It's a Prima stencil that was included in the kit. And I'm using some modeling paste that I have mixed together with some white stencil paint. And I like to mix the modeling paste together with white paint because the modeling paste has kind of a gray tone to it, and I want the modeling paste to be white. I am using this frame. This was one of the die cuts that was included in the kit, and the photo is of my younger daughter. This is on the evening of her senior prom. So I thought this would be a great photo to go with all of these beautiful florals. I'm mixing together some black soot and some Blueprint Sketch Distress Oxides. And I'm using that combination to ink the edges of this frame. And I'm just using my dauber to go all the way around the inside and outside edges. And then I attach my photo down to the frame. And now I'm going to do the same thing to all of the die cuts that I'm going to be including on my layout. Some of the elements that I'm going to be using on this layout are from the large ephemera pack that comes in the kit. It's a 49 and Market product, and it goes perfectly with the pattern papers. And there's also 2 sheets of die cuts that you can punch out, and those are very intricate pieces. For example, the title and these leaves. I believe the leaves are from the die cuts as well, and so there's a lot to choose from in the kit. There were 2 large branches of blue leaves, and I just love leaf clusters, so I wanted to ink the edges of these as well. I knew I wouldn't be able to get every edge on these leaf clusters because there are so many of them, and there are some that I can't get to with the dauber, some edges that I can't get to. So I just wanted to have a little bit of color on the leaf clusters so that they would go along with the background. Here I'm mounting my photo on some adhesive foam, but before I do that, I want the photo and the frame to have a strong backing, so I'm mounting them on some smooth white cardstock, and then I attach the foam to the cardstock. And I'm going to be arranging all of the elements on my page to kind of go between those 2 leaf, I guess, clusters, you could say, on the background. There's one on the right and one on the left. So I thought that if I made a diagonal that went from the upper left to the lower right, those images would still be visible, and it would still give me the opportunity to have clusters of elements. So basically, I'm just saying I'm making a diagonal going from the upper left-hand corner to the lower right-hand corner. I spend a long time rearranging those 2 branches. I really like the branches. I really love those leaves. I love the way they're all different colors of blue. And I kind of struggled with exactly how to position them on the layout. Here I'm positioning some of the 49 and Market flowers that come in the collection. There were 3 packs of them. I chose this particular pack because I like the idea of having the off-white flowers and the orangish color flowers and not having blue flowers on this layout because there was already so much blue on the layout. I'm using some foam now to pop up the branches, and I cut out little individual pieces, and then I very, very carefully use the ATG adhesive to put on the back of the foam. I'm really glad I used ATG adhesive because I do end up moving this die cut around, like peeling it up and slightly or majorly repositioning it many times. So I like that the ATG adhesive is repositionable. However, you still have to be careful when you move it around because you could rip something. I do the same thing on the bottom branch. I back it with some adhesive foam, very carefully put on some of the ATG adhesive, and I struggled with that a little bit on the bottom. I do manage to get the adhesive on the adhesive foam without ripping anything, and I attach that down underneath the cluster that's forming there. And now you could see that progression from the upper left-hand corner to the bottom right-hand corner. I'm using my ruler to make sure that my daughter's face falls about 4 inches from the edge. I like putting photos in the center of the page, but if I don't center the photo, then I like to make sure that if I divide the paper into thirds, that the subject falls right on the line of, either 1/3 or 2/3. And that's just a basic design principle that I learned somewhere along the way. I finally decided to switch the branch that was on the bottom with the branch that was on the top. I thought that since there's more room on the bottom, that it would make sense to have the larger branch on the bottom and then put the smaller one up at the top since there's less room there. The title is going to be Beauty, and that's a die cut that was in the kit. And so I place that on top of the branch that's on the bottom. And now I'm playing around with the 49 and Market flowers. And also there are some butterflies that I'm playing around with. I decided to use the orange butterflies and cluster those around the photo. A lot of scrapbookers talk about that. Another one of those design elements of the visual triangle, when you have 3 of something, if they form a triangle, then whatever's in the center of that triangle is going to be the focal point for your eye. So having those 3 butterflies right around the photo will help draw attention to the photo. I really love adding butterflies to layouts. I just feel like they're such a beautiful embellishment. So I love it when there are butterflies included in any paper collection. You can see here that I have 3 butterflies. They're all that orangey color. And I love popping them up on some foam. I love the dimension that that gives to the butterflies. Here I'm inking the edges of the butterfly's wings with that same combination of black soot and blueprint sketch. I'm popping this butterfly up as well. This is the one that's facing toward the side, and it'll be kind of sitting on the flower that's right next to the photo. There were a few more blue leaves, so I wanted to try to incorporate those into the layout. Some I'm including on the stem, and some I'm cutting up and kind of scattering around the layout. I wanted to pop up the title as well. You could see that the letters are rather thin, so I'm cutting some very thin pieces of adhesive foam to go behind and pop up the title. One of the things that I love about the 49 and Market die cuts, the 2 sheets that come along with the pattern papers, is that they always have a variety of titles mixed in there, and I really like it when the titles are from the collection and they just kind of match in and fit in with all the other embellishments. So I was happy that they had Beauty in there, and there were a bunch of other great titles as well. I think I used them on every one of my layouts this month. There were also a lot of leaves mixed in with the flowers. The 49 and Market flowers tend to come with quite a few stems, and so I was kind of playing around with those. There's some little tiny ones, and I talk about this all the time. I love variety of sizes in pretty much anything. So I like the way there were little tiny leaves, there were larger leaves, and then I also cut some of the leaves down a little bit. I cut some of the stems down so they only had maybe 5 leaves on them. And I like the way that added a lot of greenery to the layout. I'm going in now with some pearls. I picked a dark blue pearl, a light blue pearl, and then also a green pearl. And they are small, medium, and large, the blue being the largest and the green being the smallest. And you can see that I'm just rearranging as I go. I had that large orangey flower on top of the photo, and when I came back later on, I realized it was too heavy to be up on top of the photo, so I moved that down. And now you can see I'm chasing the pearls all around the page. I wanted to see where they should go before I glued them down, but they're just rolling all over the place. You can see that there. So I finally took those pearls that were over the photo off the page so I could glue everything else down. And I'm chasing some of them, but I do get a bunch of them glued down now, so I don't have to keep running after them. And so I'm bringing those pearls back in again, and I love the combination of colors. And please excuse my head is in a lot of this part because I'm working on the upper part of the layout, and I want to make sure that I have the pearls in the right spot. I decided to introduce another color pearl. I had blue, dark blue, light blue, and an olivey color green, and I decided to add in a yellowish orange color, and I like the way the color pearl goes well with the flowers and the butterflies. I don't always include the footage of me gluing everything down. In this case, I do a lot of arranging as I'm attaching everything to the layout. So for this one, it kind of makes sense, I thought, to include the footage of me attaching everything. And the medium that I'm using is Liquitex Heavy Duty Gel Medium, and it's the matte kind. So that way, when it dries, it's clear and you don't see any gloss. So I'm using a paintbrush, and it does get a little messy, but what I love about it is, as messy as I might be with applying this medium, you can see absolutely nothing once it dries. It dries so that it looks like I was the neatest person in the world, and that's what I love about any glue. I love when adhesives are just not really detectable after they dry. And it works on the flowers, it works on the papers, it works on chipboard, it works on foam. It attaches pretty much everything down. The only drawback is once it has dried, it does not come off easily at all. I'm not saying I've never gotten anything off, but you really have to be certain of where you want things before you attach it down with this particular adhesive. You have a little bit of time to move things around, but once it's dry, it's going to stay on there, which is a good thing because then things don't fall off when the layouts are in albums. Once everything is glued down and I have all of the basic elements and some of the embellishments in place, I like to think about what else I could add just to kind of take it to another level of detail. I used a die that I had in my stash, and I cut out some leaves. I love the way these leaves are hollow. The paper that I used was one of the papers that was in the kit. It was a dark blue paper, and I like the way that added just a little bit of extra something to the background, but it wasn't too heavy because the leaves were hollow. It wasn't like big blocks of dark color. And here I am using more of the heavy duty gel medium to attach those down. And here I'm adding another piece of that greenery from the 49 and Market Flowers. And sometimes just a little spot will call out to me that it needs something extra, and florals are perfect to add. Now I'm trying something that's kind of new for me. I love watching Marilyn Rivera's videos. She's on the My Creative Scrapbook Design team, and she always uses cheesecloth. And every time I try to add cheesecloth to my layouts, I have to take it off. It never works out for me. She makes it look so easy, but for whatever reason, it doesn't work out for me. But I love that idea of adding some fiber to the layout. So when I saw Elena, who's also on the My Creative Scrapbook Design team, she added some fibers to her layout, and it looked to me like it could be a cut up doily or something, some kind of crocheted item that was cut up. And I have a lot of those because when I've gone to flea markets, I have purchased lots and lots of those old-fashioned crocheted doilies and other crocheted items. And so I thought, oh, perfect, I have some of that and I'll give it a try. And this actually worked out for me. The thing that I learned was I really, really had to rough up the fibers before putting them down. The more roughed up they were, the better they looked. I was actually very excited that this worked out. That's why I think it's so great to watch a lot of different videos, and it's so nice that we can all borrow and use each other's techniques. And now when I go to flea markets, which I hope I'll be able to go to again soon, that I will be able to be on the lookout for some crocheted items that are in all different colors. So thank you, Elena, for that idea. Included in the kit were these little paper sequins, and I thought that this would be a great touch for the background. And they were in blue and orange, so I'm spreading some of those around the background. I think that's a nice little touch, and it's nice that they extend past just the cluster, so in that way they'll be a little something to transition from the large cluster to the background. So I'm attaching those down with some ATG adhesive. I use the ATG adhesive because it's repositionable, and a lot of times I will move things such as this around, little embellishments, little tiny touches on the background. But I was surprised that I did not move anything around. I left all of them just where I had originally put them. Now I'm adding some watered down white acrylic paint, and this was an idea that I first got from Marilyn Rivera, and I just love the way the white splatters look. I don't think that any other technique brings the same cohesiveness to the whole layout that the white splatters do. So I use that almost every time. I wanted to add just a little tiny bit of orange to the background. There already was some orange color on the background, but I just felt like I wanted to add some orange splatters. They're really not that noticeable, but I just felt compelled to add some, so I just put some really small ones going all around the cluster. I didn't think the background looked quite complete, so when I feel that way, I often go to a little canister that I have of floral die cuts. And when I tried this particular die cut out, I thought that this would make a nice addition. And then I glue all of those die cuts down just at the base. I don't glue the whole thing down. And I use some gel glue to glue those down. And now I'm going in with my little sponge. I've had that sponge for years, and some heavy duty white gesso. And I'm just dabbing that around all of the embellishments. I put some on the flowers and the die cuts and also those little butterflies. And I feel like the white splatters, it just helps to bring everything together. And that completes this layout. Here are the close-ups. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope if you like it, you'll give it a thumbs up. In the description box, you'll find a link to the My Creative Scrapbook website, and you can see all of this month's beautiful kits there. I hope that everybody has a great day, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.